In this video, I will explain you about the importance of register battery replacement after replacing the battery, why you need that, what will happen if you don't do it, and what exactly is that doing to the car and to the battery. So I will want to start with a short side note about batteries on BMWs. BMWs as 2005 are equipped as standard with AGM batteries. You won't find any other type of battery. Of course, the lithium-ion batteries on M generation, on M models, the F chassis, but in the rest you'll find only AGM batteries. Another thing, from my own experience, I've seen that batteries mounted on BMWs from factory have a different quality than the batteries you will buy afterwards from the dealer. So for example, I've seen that original batteries can last between 5 to 13 plus years. Yes, you heard me right, 13 plus years. And an original battery bought from the dealer will last between 3 to 5 years. I don't know why is that. I can tell you 100% sure that this will happen in my career. I'm working in this industry for over 20 years and with BMWs for the last at least 17 years. So I've seen a lot of cars with this thing. So I suspect that the battery factory, and not only that, but I suspect, I'm not sure, the battery factory have two lines. One line with higher quality batteries that will go directly to the factory where they will assemble BMWs, and a different line with the original parts with different quality that will go to you and customer. That's why the factory mounted batteries will last way longer than aftermarket ones. So if of course the original battery have a higher quality than on aftermarket one, but even so won't last like the factory one. Now, why I need to register the battery replacement? Let's start with what will happen with the battery and why you need to register it. So when the DME that is in charge of charging the battery will see that a battery on a vehicle is weak, it's worn out, he will start to apply to modify the charging and discharging program for an used out battery. When the DME will see that, how the DME will know that the battery is worn out? One, from its sensors and from the voltage, temperature and amps monitoring from that smart IBS sensor on the battery on the negative side. When the battery voltage will start to go down, sometimes, for example, you can find that when you start the car in the morning, you'll have that message in a cluster, in the infotainment and cluster, battery discharge when stationary. Most of the cases, not all the times, most of the cases that is caused by the battery being weak. Overnight, the voltage inside of the battery will slowly go down. The vehicle will see that and will log in that the battery is discharged when stationary. Of course, sometimes there is a physical problem on the vehicle, there is something inside of the vehicle that will drain that battery, but most of the cases the battery is going down. So when the DME will start to see that, we'll start to apply a charging and discharging program for a worn out battery. And if you replace the battery with a new one, the DME won't know that you replaced the battery. The DME will still consider that on the vehicle it's a used, worn out battery, and your new battery will be treated as a used one, a worn out one, and the charging and discharging program will be applied for a used battery. What will happen? So short answer is, instead of you having that battery for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, that battery will go bad in 2 to 4 years. The thing that will affect you as a user, and you will see it, is the discharging program. The discharging program means some things on the vehicle won't work. So even if you replace the new battery, the DME, you won't register the battery, the DME won't know that you have a new battery. On some models of BMWs, the comfort access of the vehicle won't work properly, will be disabled sometimes. You need to use the remote control to get inside of the car. Also, the climate control, the fan for the climate control, the interior ventilation will be dimmed, will be controlled at a lower speeds than usual. There is no defect, but that is a program to protect the battery. Even if the engine is on, the alternator is charging, the alternator is maintaining the voltage on the car, the program will reduce the intensity of your fan, of the interior ventilation of your climate control. So if you are hot, you have the ventilation at 50%, you want to increase that to maximum, the fan will probably increase a little bit its speed, but not too much. Also, another thing, for example, the car is on, engine running, alternators charging and maintaining voltage on the car, rear defroster won't work. There is nothing wrong with the rear defroster. The discharging program will disable that to protect the battery. And also, because of that, for example, when you will go to a place and you want to wait for someone, you'll turn off your engine, you'll have your radio on, and in a couple of seconds everything will go down, everything will go black. That is the car trying to protect the battery for you to be able to restart it, to be able to continue your journey. So even if you replace the battery with a brand new one, the car will still treat that as a used battery. Also, when the car have logged in a used battery, the fuel consumption will be a little bit higher, because always the alternator will charge that battery. When you register the battery, the alternator will keep that battery at a lower level, somewhere around, I think, 60% of the capacity of the battery. When you're accelerating, the alternator will reduce, the engine will reduce the charging. When you are decelerating or braking, then the alternator will start to charge to pull power from the crank to reduce the engine speed. That is called regenerative braking. So yeah, it's not electric vehicle, but has that function. Even the old E-Series have that function. So I think this is all, and I made it clearly for you. Another thing I want to mention is register battery replacement with BMW ISTA. If you have that and you try to register a battery replacement, you saw probably that equipment will ask you, the newly installed battery is an original part or no. If you click no, because this is not an original battery, the register will be complete, the process will be done, and everything will be okay. If you click yes, then the equipment will ask you for the QR code to type in, and also another code about the manufacturing date of the battery and the part number. You can input those or you can skip those numbers, because you have that option, because I cannot see the battery in the car and I will skip it. That it's only and only for warranty purposes. That is done in the dealership. When they will replace a battery, they need to input those codes. In case that battery will go bad, the client will return with a complaint. They can check to make sure that the battery that is on the car returning with a complaint is the same battery that was mounted initially. So that won't affect the charging program and discharging program, those codes. Another thing that I'm suspecting, I'm not sure, I just suspecting, is the fact that when and if you will select is not a original BMW battery when you do the registration, I suspect there will be a different charging and discharging program applied for an aftermarket battery. So always I'm choosing, yes, an original battery, I cannot see those codes, next, and finish. What will happen if you replace the battery today and will go tomorrow or next week to your BMW shop or a dealership to register the battery? Nothing will happen. The car will treat that battery as a used battery, and for a couple of days, weeks, won't happen nothing major with the battery. Of course, if you don't have that equipment to do yourself that battery registration. So I think I covered absolutely everything related with this subject. Of course, there are a couple of more things that they are too complicated and they don't matter for you to know about these batteries as a user. So if you think I said something wrong, please help me, correct me in the comment section down below. And if you think I missed something the same, please let me know in the comment section down below. Now I will show you the process that I'm taking to replace a battery on a BMW. Before you replace the battery, first thing is recommended to test the battery. To test the battery, first you need to get some values out of the battery to see what are the amps, called crankcase amps and so on. So for this example, we have this X3 here, the battery is in the trunk. To access the battery, we need to open the floor trunk, secure it. Here in this compartment with a coin, we can open these two tabs, one here, and we can see the battery here. In this case, we have a 12 volts, 105 amps with 950 cold crank amps. So we need to keep this in mind, because with these values, we will use our tester and test the capacity of the battery. We can do it here on the back or even in the front, but if we are here, we will do it here. So to test the battery, we need to connect the positive side to the positive terminal on the battery and the negative to the negative, like that. So from here we will select battery tester, 12 volts battery, because we're testing a 12 volts battery. We'll go in battery test, AGM battery, cold crank amps. It's already set to 950, and we will hit test. And in our case, this equipment will call for replacement of the battery, even if the battery have 12.28 volts, but you see the cold crank amps is 259. It's way low than expected. So to replace that battery, the same, we'll use an original battery. Let's test this one to see what is the capacity of a brand new battery, minus and plus. Let's do the same test. Battery test, 950, yeah, it's correct. Testing. Good. 1200. Yeah, awesome. So we'll repeat the process to access the battery, but this time we will disconnect it and remove it. Last time was for testing. First thing, we'll disconnect the negative side, like that. Positive side, like that. I remove this harness from here. I will unplug these connectors to have more room, like this. I need to remove this module from here, this fuse box, like that. I need to disconnect the vent line from this side, like so. And I still having one 13mm screw down there and another one down here. So for that I need to remove these clips to pull up this tray, like so. And you see, I have another 13mm screw there. This one's a little bit deeper, need an extension. Like so. And also on that corner we'll have a stop bracket. Now we can remove this bracket from here. Okay, remove this one. Also unclip the harness from this one. This side. Now I can slide the battery to the right and up. Put it down. Before I put a new battery in, I will clean a little bit this compartment. Like that. Now I can take the new battery and put it inside. I need to connect back the exhaust vent for the fumes, and to make sure that I have a cap here. Yes, there is a cap here on this side. I remove the cap from the positive terminal. Now I need to push the battery all the way in because there is a bracket on this side. Put back this module in the positive terminal like that. Put back this corner bracket that will keep the battery from sliding out like that, and I will put back this bracket that will keep the battery from falling down. Why I'm saying falling down? Because this bracket is up. When this car will roll over in case of an accident, this bracket will keep this battery on the floor of the car. So I have a screw here to make sure that will go on like that. I need to make sure that the bracket is under the harness. I need to put back the wiring. I need to reconnect back every single plug that I have disconnected from here. This one was here. Let's see, the small one was here. This one was here. Put back the harness. I'll release a little bit the terminals. And to do the same thing here with this one. I need to pull up a little bit this module. Now it's greased. Now I can torque back the positive terminal. And I can mount back and torque back the negative terminal. And to make sure that this is perfectly seated on the terminal. And you see me using the ratchet to tighten this screw back. So this is all. Normally, if you are in a dealership, you'll need to take a picture of this label from here because you'll need these codes when you register the battery, and I will explain you in a second why. And finally, after replacing the battery itself, we need to register that replacement. So from here, we will go in service functions, body, we'll go down, voltage supply, battery, go down, register battery replacement, display, please wait. So we'll go to register the battery replacement. Next. In the next step, the battery exchange is entered. Produce the following condition: engine off, ignition on, yeah, and entry cannot be cancelled. Original battery type and battery capacity according to the vehicle order is 100 amp hour AGM. So we'll hit enter battery replacement, same capacity because we didn't change the capacity. We'll go continue. And here I have a question: is the newly installed battery a genuine BMW part? I'll hit yes. Here you can hit no and everything will be done. If I'll hit yes and I'll hit next, the equipment will ask me if there is a data matrix code on the sticker of the newly installed battery. I will hit no, but if I will hit yes, I will need to use that information that I told you. You need to take a picture of that QR code to type in the codes required by ISTA. That thing is used only for warranty purposes and do not have any connection with the battery or the vehicle itself. So in my case, I will say no, I cannot see that code because the battery is deep inside of the car. I'll hit continue. Another question: is there a supplier number and battery terminal stamp on the sticker? I'll say no because I cannot see that. I told you, even if I will type in those numbers, those are only for warranty. And now battery replacement is entered, please wait. And the last battery replacement was registered. And you can see here I have 2 slots and only one it's occupied. That means this car had the original battery from the factory until now. This car is made in 2013. But that battery was original on this car, but that battery can be changed multiple times in the years, and if it's not registered, you won't see it here. So now I will hit continue, and now next step, the equipment will set up the time and date, and service function finished. That's all. So with this, I hope you learned something in this video. If you do so, please show me by hitting the like button. Thank you for watching these videos, and again, thank you for being with me. Until next time, you know the drill. Stay awesome. Bye now.